supposed to record the first record, Michelle, the bass player, her boyfriend got shot and killed. He was Henry Rollins' tour manager. In 1991, Sonic Youth had booked a tour to Europe. So they were doing Reading Festival and a lot of big clubs. They were really hot then. They were in their peak. And they tapped Nirvana and Babes in Toyland to be their opening acts. So they went overseas and they became huge. But back in the States, the Babes were still kind of like this touring band who weren't very well known and whatnot. So they started going over there a lot. And then that started to bleed into, getting asked to be on tours. They were already signed to Reprise. The Babes got signed to a major label long before Nirvana or any of those other bands. And it was just one of those things. It wasn't for a lot of money, but they did get signed and they did have, it was Warner Brothers Records, Reprise Records. She was just distraught. She quit the band, and they were already booked for a tour, and they were supposed to record the record like in weeks. People don't believe me, but I really had to think about it because it was just something I kind of did, but it was fun. I really wanted to be a writer. And so, but then I talked to like Steve Albini and some other people, and they're like, touring, you're never going to get another chance like this.
All of our music's really different from each other, and people like things that they're familiar with, and if there's something different, it kind of like throws them, like.
It was difficult only when it came to the press because Babes had established themselves as a band. They were not a gimmick band. They were not like, oh, look at the girls can play guitar. The fact that I just said girl band earlier is hilarious because I was so against that term. But, most people understand what that means. They had established themselves as a rock solid band. And so that was the way that I always saw it, was like we're another band and not we're a female. Because it kind of ghettoizes, like, oh, well, you're not as good as like regular bands, so you have to be in the subgenre of girl bands. And so that's when it started to really irritate me because we started getting lumped together with L7 and Hole. Babes had been around for longer than any of them. The press would just lump us all in, and L7 does not sound like Babes in Toyland. They're like pop metal. Babes is not that. Hole is, I don't know what you would call that stuff, but it's different. And so, I felt like our band was more like in the indie rock vein of the Chicago and Minneapolis music scenes where we came out of. I was in a record store and I picked up a 7-inch and I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, Babes has a new single. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's Courtney. Why is she wearing clothes like Cat and have her hair bleached with a barrette in it like Cat wears? Why does she have a red Rickenbacker? Oh my God. And it was just like, oh my God, she like stole her look. And so that really screwed with Cat's head. I mean, it was a weird thing. Why play the exact same guitar? Why bleach your hair and get the same haircut? Why dress the exact same? Why put your barrettes in the same place? It's very strange. There's something about the power of a crowd. I always described it as like the conduit of energy, that like a loop between the audience and the performers and the sound. When that's like locked in with a huge crowd.